Hi, I would like to introduce you to Bakersfield App, which tells a story about climate change and its impact on human health. The main purpose of this app is to show the influence of climate change on local communities based on examination of climate change, human health statistical and publicly available data. The main page contains the 4 topics that are going to be presented using maps. First one identifies the areas the most affected by climate change effects and shows the sensitive and vulnerable neighborhoods. The second one explores the flooding zones in Bakersfield area. It also gives some advice how to get prepared for flood. The next one is how climate change influences on respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. It also gives some advice how to protect people from air pollution effects. The last one is about current weather conditions and emergency planning. Let's get it started from the first map. This map shows the health hazard level related to climate change effects. This information was created by taking into consideration flooding areas, traffic congestion, park and green areas proximity, elevation slopes and buildings density. The highest level is in the central area, the lowest one is in the northeast area. Then I can visualize communities that are vulnerable to climate change effects like heatwave or air pollution diseases. According to scientists, the most vulnerable are children under 14 and elderly people above 65. The data comes from Esri Demographics and Lifestyle Service, grouped by census blocks. The darker blue the dot is, the more young children live in the block group. The darker purple the dot is, the more elderly people live in. The bigger the dot is, the more populated block group is. Next, I add another piece of information about the number of households with the low income. The darker the pink is, the more households with low revenue are. These people are considered as sensitive because they cannot afford special medical services. Now my map reveals the blocks with the most vulnerable and sensitive people that require the most attention. I can tap on a block and explore its details. Next I can deactivate demographics and income information, and I want to check the age pyramid in the specific area determined by drive time from a starting point. After a while I can learn what is the age structure of people who live in the most exposed to health hazard area. Now I can see that young children are the largest group in its neighborhood. Next I can show hospitals and the areas from which I can be in 10 minutes driving time in a particular hospital. As we can see, the medical service is easily available in this region. Let's move to the next map. This map allows me to check the flooding areas and find out the number of vulnerable people and houses affected by such emergency situation. This map is 3D enabled, so I can see my data from any perspective I would like to. I select the specific flooding risk data. I can explore flooding area on the map. I'm giving the information about the summary of people who are in the specific flood zone. I can check the number of girls under 10, the number of women about 65 who are in the flooding area. The same data is available for boys and men. Next, I can check the total number of people and flooded houses. If I'm curious about, I am able to check the extent of flooding in case of Isabella Dam failure. Let's move to the next topic. Next map presents the mortality rate for California counties for a specific year and cause of death. As we know, air pollution aggravates the respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. For every year I can make a map of the biggest and the lowest respiratory and cardiovascular mortality rates. As a rule of thumb, I can depict that the highest rates are in the north of California, while the smallest ones are in the central west of California. These are acknowledged by showing clusters of the highest and the lowest mortality rates. Now I can ask a question if the ground level ozone and particulate matter concentrations are related to these rates. I can show the chart of air pollution for Sisha County, located in the highest mortality rate area, and Kern County, that is in the lowest mortality rate area. I can clearly say that data result does not prove that there is a strong correlation between pollutants concentration and the death rates. Actually, the data shows a complete opposite. So, why the mortality rates of air pollution related disease are so small in the areas with the worst quality of air? The answer is given using the heat map of number of hospitals in California. Now I can say that not easily accessible medical care is one of the biggest factors that influences mortality. The last map shows the current weather conditions and helps in emergency planning. As a citizen, I can check the shortest route to the closest hospital shelter from my current location. After a while, I can get the route and its summary. Next, I can add traffic data to my map, which is helpful when an evacuation is about to happen. Next, I add information that I'm prepared for flooding or heat wave. Or I can even report that I need help or can add an incident. I can add my personal and contact data. Next, I submit my form. Then my report is available on the map. I can tap on it and show its details. This report is available for local emergency planners too, helping them to better allocate their resources. Next, I can zoom out my map and show the current temperature, precipitation and wind speed. This helps me anticipate emergency situations. The last thing is the resources, the data and the technology I use to build this app. If you have any questions regarding this application, please feel free to contact me. Thank you for watching. See you. Bye.